Let's get started. So welcome everybody. Well, I have a bunch of people still logging in, but I will get started just so I can respect your time. So I'll start by telling you my name. My name is Jaffa. I am with Mili Mila. I teach Kriolu basics. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. I love Kriolu. But my thing is that I don't want people to feel disconnected from Cabo Verde because they don't have Kriolu. So it's really important for me not only to share the language, but at least to share the culture and hopefully may help people to feel comfortable about being part of Cabo Verde and going there and all of that stuff. So I decided to do this session just to get people more comfortable. So that way you can, get there, because I'm really excited about Cabo Verde. And so I really feel that, people need to get there. So as I get started here, I wanted to share really quickly. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Google Earth. I'll show you guys really quickly. So in Google Earth, if you type in Cabo Verde, it takes you right on over. Isn't that awesome? And then if you want a 3D look, and you can actually click on any island and it'll bring you even closer. So for example, we'll go over to Praia since that's the capital city. Let's see if I can do this.
Google Earth it once.
I haven't yet.
No.
Have you guys tried? I don't know if folks have tried it. It's not working for me now. I don't know what I did. So you can move it around. There. And then you can even get closer. It's not doing it for me. But anywho, technical oh, there it goes. And you can kind of zoom in to the different parts of Cabo Verde, and it actually shows you. Let me see if I can get to. There's the airport. Here's Praia. So it's really cool. I'm not going to play with it too much just so you guys can have some time. But one of the things about Cabo Verde, it has so many different characteristics. Hopping from island to island, you see so many different things. And for me, I actually went for the first time 7 years ago. I was born and raised here. And when I got there, I was really blown away at how I felt. So I'm really quickly going to share a poem, as I do with my Kriolu Basics class. This I wrote part when I was in the plane, when I saw land for the first time. And then I added to it each day while I was out there. So if you guys can bear with me. All right. So it's called I Have Arrived, which in Kriolu is Janchiga. So yeah, so let's see. I have arrived. I have arrived in my country, my beautiful country. I have arrived in my country, a dream finally realized. I never expected that so much time would go by before I would arrive in my country, my beautiful country. I was born in America. I was far from here, but I grew up with the culture and traditions. I learned the customs of my people, a fogo and praia. I learned to make the food, a delicious cachapada. I learned to speak the language of my native Cape Verdean parents, because all of it is mine, my country, my inheritance, my pride. I have arrived in my country, my beautiful country. I have arrived in my country, a dream finally realized. Finally, I have seen my mother's land all the way in Chada. I have seen her siblings over in Lincachor. I have gone to Cidade Valia, the grounds of our ancestors. I have gone to Tarafal, swam in the waves, pulling and taking me. Now I know this is how it is. With my own eyes, I saw the house of Emilca Cabral. With my own eyes, I saw the mountains and valleys. I had no idea. With my own eyes, I saw the women with twisted rags carrying their goods. With my own eyes, I saw children playing soccer everywhere I turned. With my own eyes, I saw people together in the plaza full of excitement. I have arrived in my country, my beautiful country. I was only able to see Fogo from the horizon, but it is with guarantee that I will return. I am content that I have seen where I am from. I now am fully aware that I am purely Cape Verdean. Cabo Verde is, even if I'm far from here, Cabo Verde is my country, my beautiful country inside of me.
That's lovely.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. So it's kind of funny because I actually wrote this poem in Kriolu. So that's the translation. The Kriolu, that's why I said bon cachupada. That means good cachupada. But I have gone back. I actually go back every year, sometimes twice a year. And I love it there. So I have a few friends in this session tonight, which I'm really excited about. Thank you. And they're gonna share just their experiences because, you know, I was born here, but I went with, you know, I grew up with Cabo Verde inside of me, like everything about how I grew up, how I still live. Like I'm surrounded by Cape Verdeans in my community, the language, the culture, the music, all of it. So when I went, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't very different. There was a few things that were different, but it was easier for me to adjust. So folks in here tonight that's going to share a little bit about their experience hadn't gone, didn't have the language. And so I wanted to kind of share, you know, because I always warn people, when you go, it's gonna do something to you. And so I wanted you guys to kind of hear some of these stories and get excited and start thinking about making your way to Cabo Verde. So the first person I'm gonna call on is Lee Rocha, who's actually part of Kriolu Basics. He just went on a solo journey to Cabo Verde. So he's gonna give us a little presentation. So his is pretty recent and I'm really excited for Lee. He knows this. So Lee, I'm gonna give you a permission.
Hello. Do you want me to begin or?
Yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay, all right. Como que no está, everybody? My name is Lee. And as Jofa mentioned, I made a solo venture over to Cabo Verde this past August. So actually, what I wanted to do was begin with showing a video that kind of shows some of the places that I went to during my trip, and then kind of open it up to some questions. But before I begin the video, I guess I'll start with what got me to actually go. And really, it was the class. Taking the class, learning, getting my basics with the language in Jofa's class really excited me about the idea of going to Cabo Verde. I've never been before. Most of my family also, all Cape Verdean though, has not been. So I wanted to kind of break the ice, be the first person, and learning the language was really kind of the spark that pushed me to just do it, just rip the cord and get going. So I'm gonna play the video. Jofa, I have the ability to.
Yeah, I shared permission.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's the bottom. Okay. All right. Cadê uma sábado para num lugar onde é que pode sentir na casa? Me amba a volta no mundo, mas cadê nós uma boa vista? Ninguém na terra. E se encanas, sei lá, e para ser paraíso. Não deixes que sem problema. E com cheia na vida. Boa aventura, estás apaixonados. Portanto, madeira. Mesmo que morre na minha ilha, acaba neste dia. Escrito pela pele, xará para tu, minhas primas. Espelhos na minha pista, muita pista para minha família. Filhos já me viste, peito mais crescida que mim. Oh Deus, de saudades. Guitarra, isso que a Deus já fez na cor. Oh Deus, a lá de tua vista. Me Cristo para você saber. Cabo Verde. Só na conta se sabe. Cabo Verde. Só na conta se sabe. Cabo Verde. Me precisa chamar minha ilha de cigano. Tem-se lá cá de muito parada. Não tive entrar nos movimentos. Eles criaram tão bonita como querer casar mais tu. Esse plano não tem lá como que preocupar desse mundo. E com gênio a vida. Aventura. Estás apaixonado. Portanto, tem uma madeira. Cabo Verde. Só não é culpa se sabe. Cabo Verde. Só não é culpa se sabe. Cabo Verde.
That's Contantan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Saudades, minha terra central. Saudade, saudade, saudades, minha terra central. Saudade, saudade, saudades, minha terra.
You got lucky. You got the rainy season. After that rainy season, Cabo Verde was windy.
I
Minha sampa juga, minha busca terra vinha. Banha linda tem comércio é só para nós de terra. Minha sampa juga, minha busca terra vinha. Banha linda tem comércio é só para nós de terra. Minha bem devagarinho, sinha
you need
fica
that.
sabendo. Sinha bem com a minha bem, querer virar. Minha bem devagarinho, sinha fica sabendo. Sinha bem com a minha bem, querer virar. Sinha e balenta, nos dias rodobrov, nos de Catamanco, vamos nos decapitar. Sinha e balenta, nos dias rodobrov, nos de Catamanco, vamos nos decapitar. Sinha bem devagarinho, sinha fica sabendo, sinha bem com a comadinha, minha tem que Sinha bem devagarinho, sinha fica sabendo, sinha bem com a comadinha, minha tem que revirar. Minha santa juta, minha busca terra vinha. Banha linda tem comércio é só para nós de terra. Minha bem devagarinho, sinha fica sabendo, sinha bem com a comaria, minha tem que revirar. Minha bem devagarinho, sinha fica sabendo, sinha bem com a comaria, minha tem que revirar. Sinha bem com a comaria, minha tem que revirar.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. So first, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. My trip included visiting 4 islands. I started in Santiago, in Praia. Eventually made my way from the capital to Tarrafal, the northern beach town, with actually a member in here, Delcy Teixeira Banks. She was with me and her met in Praia through interesting turn of events for her. And so the two of us actually made our way up to Tarrafal. Say hey, Delcy.
Hey, I see you got me in the video dancing.
That's right. Yeah, I included you. So it was a solo trip for me, and I had no idea that Delcy would be there. Ended up being a situation of her luggage going missing that led her to hang around a little bit longer because you were heading to Fogu, right?
Yes. I had two islands I went to visit. I didn't do 4 like you, 2.
Yeah. I tried hard to pack in what I could in
You
2
did.
weeks. So we went up to Tarrafal, which was beautiful. Went fishing there. Actually, the video clip that shows the fish meal, that's actually a fish that I caught with one of the fishermen that we brought to a restaurant, and they cooked it up for us, which was a great lunch.
Yeah, that fish was delicious
Yeah,
too.
it was good. And so from there, I headed off for São Vicente. So I was in Mindelo for a time, and then I actually did not know about the music festival Bahia da Gata.
You got lucky.
I got lucky. I did get lucky. I had no idea about this music festival until I got to the airport to go to Mindelo, and everybody was at the airport going to Mindelo. I was like, why are so many people going? And I find out about it. So of course, it's like, I'm in Cape Verde, it's my first time. I got to buy a ticket and go.
País dos Gatos is one of the biggest festival there in Cabo Verde. So
yeah, it's West Africa's most successful music festival for the last 3 decades or so, something along those
yeah,
lines.
started in 1984.
Yeah. So that was incredible. And then Santo Antão is a 1-hour ferry ride away from São Vicente. So next day after the festival, hop on the ferry, headed to Santo Antão. And this is actually where I got to meet with some family who I had not yet met, which I'm sure might be the case for many, as you might have family in the islands. Perhaps you've met them, but perhaps you haven't met them. I went and met family members I had never met before, and I had a great time in Santo Antão. They were there for like a family vacation, so I got to tag along. I mean, it speaks for itself, the mountains, the incredible view, the lush valleys. Definitely worth seeing. It was not originally on my to-do list, but I was glad that I did get over there. My final destination was Sal, which was very different from Santo Antão. It's like completely flat, very desert-like. I did a lot of activities there, like oh my goodness, the ATV quads. I didn't include video of jet skiing at the beach, but the beaches there also are amazing. Like, this is one of the best beaches I've ever seen. Was in Sal, just white beach, nothing, not even like seashells, like nothing else but sand, white sand. So it's incredible.
Can I ask you, Lee, not to interrupt, but well, to interrupt, in terms of like, I mean, you did so much in terms of activities, hopping from island to island, and then with your limited Kriolu, can you explain like how were you able to do that? How were you, how did you feel?
As the trip went on, I got more and more comfortable. My very, very first day, like not my, when I arrived day, but like the next day after I took care of some jet lag, sleeping it off, and I walked around Praia, definitely had like a little bit of nerves. And I kept my my notebook from Jofa's class, which is like nice pocket size, like the back pocket, make sure that I had whatever I needed to have a conversation with someone. I kind of kept it simple. I really just focused on being able to, ask for help, ask for food. I will admit, I still need practice with my numbers, but I did try to make sure that I knew my numbers when it came to like, exchange for money or the price of goods. But you start to kind of end up in conversations with people. And I think the phrases that I would memorize quickest was anything to explain why I was there.
Okay.
And so that became repetitive. That became easy talking about, because they will ask like, well, where's your family from? So that was like a big one. It was like, I would know how to immediately talk about each
Well,
side.
can I ask you, bu família de onde?
Minha pai família é de Brava e minha mãe família é de São Nicolau. And so I would talk about the family, talk about each side of the family. And then the biggest question I would get usually following up was, so why don't you speak Creole? And of course, that would just lead to an explanation about my personal, history and why it wasn't spoken so much in my family. Usually by that point, everybody was really, really kind and would kind of work with you to try and speak, Creole. Some people did speak English. Most didn't, or it was very like little. It was a minor amount. And then when it came to activities I was doing on the islands, I was working through Avantad Tours, which is run by a woman named Jolie. She's also Cape Verdean American. She's originally from Hartford, Connecticut. She actually now lives in Cape Verde because she visited and she loved it, and she started her tour business with the whole focus of, you know, Cape Verdean Americans being able to return to Cabo Verde, see their homeland. And it was fantastic because every time I would go to an island, I always had a point of contact. She would have a person at each island that I would meet up with. And no matter, you know, whatever it was that I had decided to do on that island, they were there to help with that, whether it was a tour that they would take me on, whether it was, for example, in Saint Vicente, I had no tours set up because I knew I was going to be meeting family and then going to Santo Antão, but they still had the guide who was there meet with me because he actually went out of his way to buy my tickets for the ferry because he knew that would make things easier for me, and ran it over to me on my Airbnb. I mean, there was a lot of support. So even though I wasn't, you know, mastering the language, I wasn't a master of the language. I got better as I went along. I always had other people that were there to assist, which includes Jofa, because Jofa would basically answer her messenger at a moment's notice. I would ask her, like, how do I say this? Immediately she would respond back. Didn't matter.
Told you, KB, once you're family, you're family. I just want to say really quickly, I am gonna give information about Jolie. It's coming, so you will get the information. You know, after we kind of hear these testimonials, but go ahead, Lee. Sorry.
I don't want to hog the floor. I know Delsey's here too to speak.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I'll say is probably one of like the biggest moment was when you coming in on the plane and you see the islands for the first time. You see like the mountains kind of peek through the clouds. Your poem kind of struck me because it made me think back to that. And again, like I was pretty jet lagged. I'm like 20 hours into travel at this point. I'm like kind of like nodding off here, there.
Yeah.
That was the most awake. That was the fastest I ever woke up. Yeah. The moment I saw the peaks coming through the clouds, like I don't really know how to put it into words what I felt. I felt right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, my poem, I said I wrote it in Kriolu, and Manel has joined us in here somewhere, and we were doing our book tour, and I shared piece of it on the radio, and people, I mean, they were calling my uncle like, is that your niece? Like they were, I mean, some taxi guy stopped his car, pulled over, and was like crying. Like it was kind of like, because it was a raw emotion, like for someone who wasn't born there. And then I had this, like, I've always wanted to go. I don't know what took me so long to get there. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. So we do have lots more people to kind of share really quickly, just to kind of focus in terms of, you know, if you're not sure what to share, I added this screen on my slide just so you guys can kind of think about what you want to share in terms of your experience. It could be challenges as well. Like if there was a challenge because, you know, lack of Kriolu, but also like tips on what you can do. Like Lee, I think that was great, like in terms of having these point people, having those connections before you get to somewhere. And if there's anything like we should know, okay? So just keep that in mind as we go along. And I'm gonna have Dulcie, since you guys kind of met up. I'm so happy to make that connection. So Dulcie, if you wanna share a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, my trip was last minute. I've been procrastinating, saying I was going. I went there once just for a few days, and you can't just go a few days to Cape Verde. And that was 9 years ago. So last minute, I said, I'm going. If I keep saying every year, I'm going to go next year, I'll never get there. So I decided to book a flight for August, and I was gone most of the month of August to Cape Verde. And I went by myself as well, like Lee. I decided to go by myself. Not much language, but I survived.
You rock,
I
girl.
I
We more
did.
than survived, we thrived.
We
Yeah.
did. I had the best time ever. I did, with limited language. Still likely you were able to communicate. You were able to get, if you knew a few words, you can get by. You can get by. Learning the money was a little challenge, but everything costs a lot less as well. So that was a plus. My first few days I went on the tour with Lee. We went, like he said, to Tal. So beautiful. When I finally got my luggage, because I did have that issue, I moved on to Fogo. Well, before I left Fogo, I did connect with Mr. Gonzalez. We had a great time. Him and his wife gave me a little tour of the what was it? It was the ancient where our ancestors were.
Cidade
Cidade
Velha.
Velha.
Yes, yes, yes. That was beautiful. Thank you again.
Welcome.
I went to Fogo. Fogo, that was more of a challenge than Santiago, because there was really no English in the house that I stayed with. I stayed with friends, friends from here's family, their family out there. And but I did want to say I came at the right time, just like Lee came at the right time for that festival. I came for a festival in Fogo, in Mustero. Mustero, they had their festival, which lasts for 5 days. So I got lucky to enjoy that. Great food, great people. I would do it again, even with the language barrier. We still managed to communicate. Like it worked.
Igual que Verian. Boy Kriolu.
Sim.
It helps to have, bare minimum and just the confidence of just doing it. I think,
One
go
more
ahead.
I found family out there too as well.
Yeah.
People that I was with the whole time. I didn't know they were family until the last couple of days. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So it was good.
It's awesome. And one of the things too, like both you and Lee have said in terms of connecting with people, having those point persons, it's all about, talking, like, talk to somebody. They'll point you in the right direction or connect you to so-and-so who knows this other person and all of that stuff. So that's a real big key in Cabo Verde. So thank you.
I was told I was brave to do that by myself, but I did it.
You did it. I was very proud of you. So I'm so glad that you were able to enjoy it.
Thank you for everything too.
Of course, I'm here. I wanted to hear, so the next person, I'm just gonna kind of go down the line here. I wrote kind of in terms of my thought process of doing this. So the next person, he's actually leaving back to Cabo Verde for the second time tomorrow. So John Jacobs, if you can tell us a little bit.
Hey, hello everyone, Motocuno Star. Yeah, so I went to Cabo Verde last year. And I also got the hookup with Jolie from Avantadi. Thanks to Jaffa and Manuel. Both who I've studied under with both Manuel and Jaffa doing Kriolu classes. So my story is pretty similar. Both sides of my family is from Fogo. So I always wanted to go to Cape Verde. My great grandparents actually on both sides came from Fogo to America. So just growing up, it's like I had a little bit of Kriolu, mostly just bad words and little stuff like food and I want to eat, I want to drink, stuff like that. And so just from going to Manuel, to going to Jaffa, and then just searching out Creole, other sources, and and then eventually going to Cape Verde. Like Lee also said, it's like when you're there and you're immersed in the language and the culture, it's like your language, you're forced to, so your language it just goes through the roof. So I also did a whole lot of stuff thanks to Jolie, and Avantadi. So initially, went to Santiago. I must have went almost everywhere in Santiago. I went to started off in Praia Plateau, hit Sucupira, went to Tarafal, went to Sumada. Went everywhere. Met some friends that I know who actually moved to Cabo Verde. They moved to Samara, so met them. Went to a pretty well-known spot called Pedi Pilon. So it's a really huge tree. When I say it's huge, it's an understatement. It's a really old tree as well.
Almost 900, almost 900,
Yeah.
right, Manan? 900. Is it 920 years old?
It's several
Yeah.
centuries. Yeah, I had
definitely.
I had that one picture that of me by that tree.
It's an amazing image. Like, it's amazing to actually see it in person.
I was just at that picture today because it's huge. We look like little dots in the picture.
Yeah.
And I'm not small, so.
So and then after that, we went to Fogo, and then in Fogo we went to of course went to San Felipe, did the whole Chata Caldera, went up to the volcano, went to the wineries over there, and then actually just speaking with the tour guides who Jolie had us with in Fogo, they knew some of my family. So I told him who my family was and this and that. So he said, "Oh, I know like 3 family members," So I said, "Oh." Went there, met them, told them who my grandfather was and my grandparents, and that was cool. So met them. We tried to go to Brava, but at that time there was a mix-up with the ferries going to Brava, so couldn't go to Brava. So we went back to Santiago and we did more stuff over there. So it was cool. So that was my experience.
Now, John, can you say, like, you're leaving tomorrow?
I am, yeah.
So can you tell us, like, what made, I mean, you just came.
Oh yeah.
So what's making you go back so quick and again?
Oh man. So so initially when I went, it was just me. It was me, my wife, and it was my 2 youngest children. I say youngest children, they're 18 and 23. I took them, and then like Jaffa in her poem, and like Lee said, and like Dulcie said, it's like literally like you ain't even touching ground yet, and you just feel the vibe. It's like especially if you're Cape Verdean, it's just you just feel it. It's when I was especially in Fogo just that has a special place in my heart. I really love Fogo, and I could feel it when I was there. And it's the fact that it's like you can have a connection with your ancestors, And I know as far as my family, like a lot of the older family members, they passed away. And it's like, I really didn't get a chance to really speak Creole a lot with everyone. Mostly my grandmother and my great grandmother, but it's like, when I got there, and although, I had, took some Creole classes with Jaffa Manuel and other people, it's like when you get there and you're immersed in it, and then it's like words from your childhood pops up in your head, and it's so strange, and the more and more time you spend there, the more and more time you spend there, it's just like it's like your language just gets better and better and better. So it was just, I don't know, it's just a feeling. It's just I don't know that, like, Black Panther's out, but that's my Wakanda is, Cabo Verde. You know what I mean? It's like when you go there, it's like you just feel it. You just feel something special. It's a very special place, especially if you have roots there. Yeah.
Cabo Verde is actually mentioned in Wakanda.
Yeah.
There's a blip about what
Right.
the pride that exudes.
Yeah, I saw that. And although I don't have the dope show and tell like my man Lee, I just I do have something here. So just what they were mentioning is the money, right? I don't know if y'all can see that. So the money is it's very different. So if you can see, and this is what kind of threw me off when I was there, was I wasn't too great with my numbers, but from last year to now, I made sure I'm on point with my numbers. So for example, like if you see here, it might be backwards in the camera. So the monetary is scootles. So, but the way they do it is, so this looks like, oh, $5,000, I'm rich, right? It's $50. So it's $50. So, 5,000 scootles. So,
good job.
yeah. So, you really got to know, like, if you're going to be there with limited language, like Lee said, he's my man was on point with his presentation, is learn some key phrases, right? To get you kind of out of trouble, to get you, to maybe, to get things that you need, things that you want. Learn your
missed it, and what's the word?
Missed
it. I need what is want. I got it. I was gonna test you.
Yeah, missed it. Exatamente. So yeah. So and yeah, I would say for me, learn the numbers, because also too, if you go there, you're definitely going to want to hit when you're in Santiago. You're going to be in you're going to land in Praia. Hit the Sucupira. Sucupira is on point. It's this huge outdoor open market, and it's like literally anything that you want. It's like Cape Verde's Walmart, Costco, BJ's, all rolled up into one. So you can pretty much get anything you want there. And then also too, maybe maybe familiarize yourself with different foods in the language. Different foods, because when you go out to eat, you're gonna want a different variety of stuff. And the menus are all in Portuguese. I must have saw one menu in Kriolu, but it's mostly in Portuguese. So but definitely if you do end up going there, have some sort of base there. Someone that you can kind of maybe rely on. Just because for example, I'll be quick, is when I went to Fogo, so we went to Fogo from Praia, and it's
did you fly or did you take
so we flew. So there's like a sub area of that airport, which is like the waiting area to go to Fogo, and everything was in Portuguese. You know what I mean? Over the intercom, and I'm like, what? So I kind of just made friends. You know what I mean? I was just like, going up to people, just talking to them. Hey, puta papi inglés, and just once they hear that you ain't really got an accent from there, they're gonna help you out. Yeah, everyone's friendly. Everyone's friendly, and they'll help you.
That's a really great point. I think that's a good way to say it, is like you have to open closed mouths don't get fed. Like
exactly.
And people are pretty friendly once they know like you're not from around there. They'll at least point you in the right direction. So that's a really key one. But
what a Bears is there.
We're gonna come back. I'm gonna get to our next. So we got 2 more people, and then we're gonna open it up for questions. I know some of you want to ask your questions, but so we talked about going there as a Cape Verdean born outside of Cabo Verde, but now I want to bring in these 2 ladies who are amazing. They love Cabo Verde, probably close to how much I love Cabo Verde. But they're not Cape Verdean. So I mean, they didn't really, I don't think, grew up with the culture. They discovered it. But I'm gonna have Nikki go first since you were traveling, and then Brett, if you don't mind, after her, okay? So Nikki, hopefully the Wi-Fi is working for you. If not, we can just. Nikki, are you there?
Hello,
There
hi.
she is. Hi,
How are
Nikki.
you? Let me see if I can get the camera on. Can you? No, you can't see me yet.
So
I'm
I
sorry,
just
I'm
want to
Cabo
say that
Verde.
Nikki is in Cabo Verde. This is what, the 5th time in 18 months?
My 5th time since April 2021.
Yeah, and she's not Cape Verde. She's not of Cape Verdean descent. At least not that we know of, right, Nikki?
Well, I believe that my ancestors are from Cabo Verde.
Right. Or went
Yeah,
through there
you
at
know.
least.
I'm saying goodbye to my family here. So it's a little
You know, we could start with Brett if you want a few minutes.
Yes, please. And
Okay.
I'm still following along, but I'm gonna
That's
get in the car.
perfect. All right, cool.
Okay?
Thank
Okay.
you. All right, let's go over to Brett. So Brett, same. She's like practically lives in Cabo Verde. So Brett, let's hear some of your story and the language piece and all of that good stuff.
Oh, sure, happy to share. So I started visiting Cabo Verde, let's see, 7.5 years ago now. And I literally just went randomly because I saw a flight deal to go there, and I travel pretty extensively anyway. So I had never heard of the country up to that point because I didn't grow up around Cape Verdeans. And so, I went, loved it. I was like, I'm totally gonna come back. I had worked with Jolie, and she was like, yeah, everybody says they're going to come back, but we'll see. So then I came back a couple of years later and went to visit a couple of more islands. And every time I went to visit other islands, and by this point I've been to all 9 of the inhabited islands. I haven't been to Santa Lucia. But every time I'd go to visit other islands, I just fell in love with it more and more. And I will say that I've always worked with Avantati tours. So anytime I've gone to visit other islands, I always had an English speaking person there, which in some ways probably handicapped me quite a bit because it didn't really force me, to learn and speak the language very well. But anyway, I kept going back. And then the pandemic hit, of course. And because I'm a professor and we moved online, so I was actually able to go and just camp out there for
the best place for virtual work.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I went there October 2020. I wanted to see if the Wi-Fi would be strong enough for me to do my Zoom calls from there. Turned out it was. And so I went back in January of 2021 and basically stayed for 3 months that time. Then I came back over the summer, and then I ended up buying a home in Cabo Verde last year because I just realized that I loved it there so much that I wanted a permanent place there. So I have an apartment there now, and I spend about 6 months out of the year there because, again, we're still hybrid basically. And so, I have the flexibility to go and stay there. As far as the language goes, so I'm still pretty limited with my Kriolu, to be honest. But I do speak a little bit of Portuguese, and I should say I read and write Portuguese. I don't really speak it very well. So if I get hung up and I can't find the words in Kriolu, a lot of times I switch over to Portuguese. And if I can't understand them or if they can't understand me, I'll ask them if they can write it in Portuguese, because usually I can figure it out if it's written, even if I don't understand what people are saying. So I guess I kind of cheat sometimes, and I communicate in Portuguese when I have to. But other than that, I've realized that, it is incredibly important to have your key phrases, that I can tell the taxi driver how to get to my apartment in Kriolu. I made sure that I knew how to give directions on how to get there, because where I live, it's not really in a place where it's easy to get a taxi. And so I have to be able to communicate with the taxi drivers to get back and forth to my home. Definitely knowing the numbers is really critical. That's something that I really struggle with a lot of times. I think you'll find too that a lot of Cape Verdeans speak very softly, so you really do have to listen closely to what people are saying. At least I do. But for me, I think it really helped just having Jolie and her team kind of there. Whenever I had questions about things, I could always reach out to them and get their help on things. So definitely recommend making a visit to Cabo Verde. It's just an amazing country. It's so easy to fall in love with the place. And, you know, you'll probably end up like me where you're just like half living there.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Yeah, I think one of the things about, I mean, there's the two sides. Like John, I'm fully immersed, pushes you to kind of bring out the Kriolu, but Brett, very, very resourceful with having people that can kind of help you in that way. But one of the things about getting to Cabo Verde, I think the theme throughout is how much you love it and how much it is just about like talking to people and then finding connections, because once you kind of meet this person, they'll introduce you to that person, and somehow, some way, it just all works. And in Cabo Verde, you never know what's gonna be happening. There's festival, there's party, there's live music, the food is amazing. So you never know. And then the weather is always amazing, even in rainy season, even if it rains, and then all of a sudden the place is like flourishing. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. And I do encourage folks to get there, because it's one of the things that, you know, we can talk all night about it, but it's hard to put into words those feelings of being there. I don't know if my friend Nikki's ready for us. She's literally traveling back. Are you ready?
Hi. I'm sorry you can't see me. I'm in a
That's
car.
okay. We can hear you good though.
Boa noite, tudo. Mariki Busta. Mariki Nosta. So I am Nicola. This is my 5th time in Cabo Verde since April of 2021. I went during a time, you know, when COVID hit and I was feeling like I had to get away. And one of the things that I felt when I got to Cabo Verde was the morbes, and I'm sure people have spoken about that already. You know, where it's the love that you feel, people will bend over backwards to help you. Always say morning. One thing I recommend that you get a key phrases. Noise in the background.
Nikki, it's a little. Are you in the car?
I am in the car.
It's a little trickier to hear you now.
I hear background noise. Is that me?
Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. There you go. Can we hear? Can you? Did you? Go ahead. Let's try it again, Nikki.
How's that?
Much better.
Okay. So I'm sorry, but you can hear some Kriolu in the background.
It's okay.
I forgot to leave my key in the apartment. So anyway, one of the things I highly recommend is just knowing some of the basics. You know, Creole people from Cabo Verde are very friendly. So, you know, knowing how to say good morning, good night, you know, thank you. It really shows that, you know, you care. But even if you don't say it correctly, they will, you know, in a friendly way, you know, help you with your pronunciation. So, you know, they're really just really sweet people. When I first came to Cabo Verde, I struggled with every single word that you can imagine. But by the time I left, you know, when I was home, I was like, whenever I went somewhere, I was like, obrigado. I'm like, oh, I'm back in America. What am I doing? So, you know, within the short time that I was there, I had really picked up the language. So if people are worried about, you know, when I go, am I going to be able to, you know, understand people, so on and so forth? I think once you're immersed in that culture, as with most languages, you pick it up easier. It also helped that Jolie had a cheat sheet the first time I went. The third time I went, I was there for Jaffa's class. So it was really cool to like use some of the things that she taught me while I was there. And I have been like waited with bated breath for the intermediate class to come, and it's coming in January. So I'm really excited about that. I honestly have to say, like, my Kriolu has gotten so good, you know, the more times I come. You know, I guess the 5th time is the charm. They don't say that. It is it should be a saying now, because it really helped to be here. And I honestly like was really encouraged in wanting to learn the language. As soon as I went home, I was trying to learn Portuguese and learn Kriolu at the same time because I was like, whoa, I was so blown away. I just knew I wanted to come back here. I just knew that, you know, I wanted to get a property here. I actually came back this time and got registered for my business in Cabo Verde. So I'm really excited about that. And just to reiterate, I am not from Cabo Verde. I believe my ancestors have touched ground. So therefore that makes me a Cabo Verdeana. I am Creola, but I come by way of Jamaica and Barbados, and there's such similarities. And maybe that's why I felt so like, you know, comfortable being here. But it's like, you know, I call Cabo Verde like, you know, the Caribbean of West Africa. It really is, you know, very similar. If you haven't been, you've got to come. But I have to warn you, when you come, be prepared to not want to go back. You know, this time that I came, I met a lot of expats. And over the past 2 weeks, I met a woman who came in August. She came for her birthday. She's now living in Cabo Verde, been here for a month, just got her apartment this week. I met a couple that came by way of Canada. They came here once, that was it. I met a gentleman over the weekend. He's from the UK. He packed up all of his stuff, retired from his job. He's living here. I met a couple by way of Nigeria. He's from Ohio. She's from Nigeria. They've been here for a couple of weeks. They're not looking to go back. I mean, oh my God, there's so many people that have come to Cabo Verde, and I don't know if it's the water. I don't know if it's the, I don't know what it is, but they do not want to go back. It's amazing. And you know, you really have to come and see for yourself. You know, you just get one taste and that's it. This past weekend I went to Mayu. I've been to several of the other islands, Sal, San Vicente, Santo Antao, and now Mayu, and each one is so like uniquely, you know, special. It's you just gotta come. You gotta come. You will not want to.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I wish you hopefully we'll see each other soon, but have a safe flight, and please stay on. I'm gonna just open up a little bit for question and answers for some folks to just ask some questions. So I don't know if anyone wants to ask questions about travel in terms of, you know, challenges. It could be experiences or what have you. Any questions, any takers? I know some of you have been talking on chat, but
I have a question.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm sorry, I'm in the airport right now. I had to jump on here. That's why I got on here kind of late. But my great grandmother, my name is Tyler. I'm sorry.
Tyler.
Yeah. Hi. I actually, I think I helped is Leah your sister?
My daughter.
Your daughter? Oh,
yeah.
You actually, I'm the one that you dropped the Air Forces off when she collected them. You dropped them off at my house.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so I was wondering, my grandmother is looking to travel. She's never been. Her mother's from there. She passed away a few years ago. None of us have ever been, and none of the ancestors in our family passed on the language either. And so I was just wondering if you guys had recommendations for like traveling with somebody elderly. I don't know if it would be any different, but I just want to make sure that like it's a great experience for her, because she's going to be traveling with me, my brother, my sister. She's 75.
75. Lauren, I didn't forget about you. I'll be back with you, okay? One of the things I do want to say, so I went with my parents back in 2018, their first time back in 50 years. They're a little older than that. They were, my mom, I think, was 82. My dad was 80. It was okay. We got around on taxis and things like that.
Okay.
The air in Cabo Verde, for some reason, had them like energetic. My dad was like walking all over the place. It's a little tricky. Some of we did go to Fogo. It was a little hilly, but they were fine. We traveled mostly by car taxi, and then we had family kind of take us around. You know, but it's doable. They do have, in terms of the assistive stuff, like, you know, wheelchairs if you need it, like airport travel, because it is a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's totally doable. One of the things, you know, I think is that Cabo Verde can be customized to what your needs are. You know, some people go for the activities, the festivals, the parties. Some people go for the more nature stuff like hiking and all that. Some people go to find family. Some people go to find the best grogu. So it depends on what your needs are. But I think it's totally doable.
Yeah.
For people of all ages.
Last question. As far as
Oh no, I think we lost her. So Lauren, I'm gonna have you jump in just as, oh, maybe she's back. Oh, wait.
I'm back. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So as far as finding family, do you have any recommendations on like how one would do that if it was somebody very far removed that you don't have a name or anything like that?
What is it? Go ahead, Lauren.
So my first trip to Cabo Verde, I always, my father's father told him that if you get a chance to go to Cabo Verde, you'll find your family in Fogo, in Patin. So my father went in the 80s and he had a photo album. So that's what I took with me to find family. When I went to Patin and I showed that photo album to people, and that's how I was able to find my family in Patin. So I don't know if you have any photos that you can take with you.
I don't think so, but I don't know, maybe we'll be able to say some names and somebody may.
Usually,
it may sound familiar.
You know what? I also did this. I also did the same thing when I went last year. So I had names. So initially I just had names. And what you can do is and Jolie actually from Avantati Tours, she hooked me up with this, is she can hook you up with someone from the Secretary of Records. So I went there with names. I really didn't have much, you know, I didn't have dates or whatever. So they kind of directed me, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So from the name that I had, they, you know, in prior records, they found, you know, my family's from Mosteros in Fogo. So, and then once I went there, yada, yada. But another thing that you can do is, which is really good, it surprised me, is an app called Ancestry.com. So that Ancestry app, you know, once you start putting in your information and it starts populating everyone's names, and you make all these like relationships, like, okay, this person is this my uncle, this my, you know, if you know somewhat of your family, that really helps. That's a really good tool. And then from there, you can actually get documents from Ancestry.com. So they have like birth records, death records. They have a lot of resources on it. And then you can bring that to Cabo Verde.
With me. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then also what I ended up doing too was I ended up getting my grandparents' birth certificates. So
oh, wow.
Yeah, so with their birth certificates, it has their parents' names and
Names
whatnot.
on them.
Yeah. So because I plan on trying to get my citizenship, to get dual citizenship.
Right.
So because Jolie can help you with that too. And yeah, so all that will help. But that Ancestry app is really good.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you guys. If I could jump in real quick, just to piggyback on that. So I went over and I had the Ancestry app also. And I actually found, I mean, most of my family, my mother specifically, they kind of helped ahead of time by having parts of the family tree figured out. And even if you just have some parts of the tree figured out, number one, it's an excellent conversation starter. Like that will get you going with most people that you're talking to, because they're going to be curious to begin with. And then it's just super helpful after that, because it's like, you know, enough people are familiar with somebody who's from this island or that island that will connect you. So yeah, the Ancestry app is huge.
Definitely gonna check that out. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a safe flight.
Thank you. Bye.
So Lauren, I want to come back to you really quickly in terms
Sure.
of, I know you've been back and forth as well.
Yes.
But just quickly share a little bit in terms of the language piece and just in terms of your feelings.
So first, I will say, like everybody else, once you get there, it's a whole different experience. And I can only describe Cape Verde as a hug full of warmth and love. And it was like I found the part of me that was missing when I got there. With the language, I did not have Jaffa's classes for the first time that I went. And it was a struggle. It's not pretty, but I get through. And, just know some of the basics and, that I remember that my father, my family would speak. It's helpful, but everybody's over there that is so nice. And, habla inglés, that's one of your best phrases to use. And mes de un taxi, if you need a taxi, just simple things to help you. And if you are fortunate enough to find your family, they are so grateful that you remembered them. It's an honor to them not to be forgotten. And I feel like it's my obligation to go visit them and to just be with them. It's a very humbling experience because so many people have so little and they're so content with it. And we just want more and more and more. So I learned humility while I was there. Again, the language, it will come to you. And what's helpful if you know another language sometimes, if you see Kriolu written, you can see that it's kind of similar to some Spanish. It may not be pronounced the same, but it may look a little bit of the same. I know if you're on the plateau or where there's a lot of people looking for money, I kept saying, no obrigado, no obrigado, no obrigado. So this time I even text Jaffa while I was up there and I said, there's Bakubo. And that kind of backed them off. And they said, you too. So, I was telling them, God be with you. So it stunned them and they left me alone. So that's a tip you can use too. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I am about to take my 5th trip to Cabo Verde. I can't get enough of it. Once you go, you'll feel the same way, I'm sure.
For sure.
And again, through Jolie.
Yes. Yeah. And which brings me, I wanted to share really quickly. So she couldn't be with us tonight because it is about 11 out there. But I wanted to see if I can share her video that she sent. So everyone's talking about Jolie. Jolie actually runs Avontadi tours. She's been doing it for the last about 9 years now. But so her company actually works a lot with people in customizing your trip. What do you need? People looking to buy, people looking for dual citizenship, people looking to tour. And then in terms of the tour, it could be like the historical piece or, family piece or just, relaxation or party festivals, all of that through Jolie. She runs a great service. She's not the only one. I didn't do this in terms of connecting Jolie with this piece, but I did, she did help me with my first travel there. But it's just so good because once you're part of this Avontadi, it's like each time you go, you're like, okay, this is my needs this time. So it's been amazing to kind of have her help. I'm gonna see if her video, let's see, can you guys see her?
Yes, and I see a lot of us on the cover of that brochure.
Yes, girl. You know how I do. So here's Jolie really quickly.
Hey everybody, boa noite. Hey Jaffa, quale. Jaffa, I just have to say that I'm just so proud of everything you've done. I'm so proud of what you've done for the language, for the culture, for the people, for the community, building community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Jolie Moniz. Jaffa asked me to join this amazing family reunion, it seems like. But because it's going to be 11 at night in Cabo Verde, this was the best way. I moved to Cabo Verde 10 years ago. I live in Praia, in the capital city, and I have a tour company called Avantari Tours that focuses, that's my baby, that focuses on local tourism that benefits other Cape Verdean or locally based businesses. Personalized travel throughout the 9 inhabited islands, as well as several countries and regions that are somehow connected to Cabo Verde, but Cabo Verde is the heart, the hub. And roots travel too. So a lot of helping folks like me, you know, go look for old records or go see that crumbling home in Fogel where their Volva lived, or dual citizens, buy real estate, whatever. I am just trying to bring us home or bring us back, whether it be for a visit or forever. So look me up if you need any help with your visit. All right, have a great night.
Surely. So yeah,
I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome. And one of the things that, you know, like we said earlier, in terms of connecting people, like once you kind of connect with people, it just your family, like people just, yeah, every time I go back, I see people, like even the people that work at the restaurants, like I go back to Linha d'Água, Kati's there, and I'm like, hey, like, you know, so we know each other, like, so it's just an amazing vibe. It's really cool. As for time, because our time is running low, but I didn't know if anyone had more questions. I had just a few in terms of you know, in terms of tips. A lot of times when you go to Cabo Verde, a good time to go is during like the festivals or holidays, because then a lot of people go and they speak English. So a lot of people go from America to Cabo Verde, America to Cabo Verde during these times. Lee mentioned the Baías das Gatas, Bandeirana. People flock to Fogo in April, the last week of April, for Bandeirana. Festa San João is in June. That usually happens in Fogo, it happens in Praia, the Sal Music Festival in September, the Gamboa Music Festival in Santiago, and of course Carnaval, which is, it happens in the different islands, is in February, usually close to Ash Wednesday. And then there in the blue is the national holidays. I mean, of course, New Year's and Christmas. And then one of the, like in August, there's always, you know, festivals for saints and things like that. So those are good times to go, where you'll see more people that kind of left from America to go to Cabo Verde. So you'll run into a lot more English speakers, and then a lot of them are dual language or trilingual, so they can help you as well, help you connect you to people. So yeah, the Kriolu Jazz Fest in April is one that people come from all over the world. It's amazing to actually see it. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone else had any questions before I give you guys a quick couple of Kriolu. How we doing? I know I extended this meeting just a little bit, just because I didn't want people to feel rushed, but I know it's a lot. So the last piece is, I mean, in terms of like what you should know in Kriolu to help you. My name is Minha nome é, and then you say your name. do you speak English? That's a really good one to know, because, you know, once you ask that, you know, people will hear you, and then like someone will be like, oh, I do, even if you're not asking them. But like if you ask that question, usually, buta papia English, buta papia English. And then of course the bathroom, where's the bathroom? Onde é que quarto banho? Onde é que quarto banho? And in Cabo Verde, a lot of the restaurants, hotels, they have a wash closet. It's WC, because it's like Portuguese or whatever. So you'll see like the WC in bathrooms. But you say onde que quarto banho? That's where's the bathroom. And then if you're not understanding someone, you can say desculpang. That's I'm sorry, or, you know, I could mean excuse me. Whereas the airport, onde é que aeroporto? I need to go to the airport, Mr. By aeroporto. And if you need a doctor, Mr. Médico. And then the last one, I need to go to the hospital, Mr. By hospital. Okay, so I mean, these are just quick phrases. Again, I think the best thing to do, like for traveling, is, you know, learn those basic phrases as you would with any country you go, that you don't have the language. These basic things will help you get around, you know, for people. So when is the festival in June? It's usually the third week in June. The Festa San João, it's mid-June. Yeah. So these I don't know if there's any other questions. If leaving from Boston, what is the best airline? Should I Sharon, I think the best, you know, it's not the best, because like Cabo Verde, unfortunately, there's no more direct flight to Cabo Verde. It's either you take TAP. TAP has a long layover. So sometimes they stop in
Lisbon.
and thank you, Lisbon, for about 20 hours. So you know, you can explore Portugal. But it is a long layover, and then you go to Cabo Verde, or you can use SATA. SATA goes from Boston to the Azores, and it's usually about a 3-4 hour layover. So it's actually better.
Not even that long sometimes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
the
Like an hour and a
European,
half, 2 hours.
the Europeans called TAP, take another plane.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, TAP, you know, they're not, I don't like flying TAP, but sometimes you have no choice. But TAP is very, I don't know.
I miss TACV.
Yeah, I do too.
They
Thankfully,
they were not reliable 100%, but at least there was a direct flight.
direct flight. Yeah, I think that was the best thing about it. It was that it
Mhm.
was direct. Thankfully, they were flying when I took my parents, because it
Mhm.
was a direct for them. It's like flying from Boston to California, but
Mhm.
because there's no direct flight, it's not that easy. But once you touch land, you forget all about it. So
SAT is pretty good, but you're gonna pay a little more than TAP.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
it
is the name?
depends on when you purchase as well. Like,
Right.
you know, you want to think about your trip, and you want to purchase reasonable times. I think the best is 2 weeks or more. I think 1 week is a little for Cabo Verde, because there's so much to do and see.
Yes.
And then if you factor in travel time, you know.
And
So
then which island, like how many islands are you going to be going to?
Correct.
Because
yeah,
I was able to squeeze in 4 in 2 weeks, so I was on the move quite a bit. But each island felt like its own vacation. So it's like a
Exactly.
mini vacation.
So different. They
within a
are so
vacation.
different.
Yeah.
vacation within a vacation for sure.
Yeah.
A good tool if anyone's thinking about going is you can check Google flights. So if you go on Google and you check Google
Mhm.
flights and you put in your destination and the times that you're thinking about going, it'll give you like the projected price of that. So you can constantly check it. And then also with Google Flights, you can punch, click that you want the alerts. So it'll also
Mhm.
alert you when when the price is goes down or goes up or whatever. So that's pretty decent.
I just booked my round trip flight and it was like 740 something.
Who's that, with SATA?
With SATA, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of average for SATA, actually. That's why I said it's a little more expensive.
Yeah,
but-
so it's well, TAP is expensive depending on when you book. I think
Mhm.
that's the sad thing about it. Get into Cabo Verde, you
Yes.
have to really make the choice,
Mhm.
because if you wait too long, the price will keep going up.
Yep.
Right.
So you want to make it, you know, a good amount of time. Purchase your tickets and then plan it out.
Yeah, go in the spring or the fall if you want the flight to be cheaper. Summer, I think I paid double the price because I had to go in the summer because I teach. But
That's me too. I
yeah,
have to go in the summer. I have to go
Well,
in August.
it depends on when you
next week.
buy it too. So like say if you buy it now, oh not now, like I think I did talk to another travel agent. He said to go see him in January, because I'm planning on going back in August. I'm going in December, but I'm going back in August.
Where I'm going.
In August?
Yes, Joppa.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going in
I'll
August.
be there all summer too, so I might have to.
Ooh, I'm celebrating my 50 people. Y'all are all welcome. So yeah, but it does depend on when you purchase, but like I mean stay on it. I think make the decision to go and then go from there, because that's the first and foremost. I'm so excited though. Like I really feel like Nikki was saying, like some of the people that have gone and now like I bought a land there, I bought a condo, I'm not going back, especially people who can work remotely or have their own businesses.
Mhm.
That's been awesome. Asia, I think that's Asia. I saw your hand earlier. I'm sorry. I meant to come back to you. I don't know if you still want to ask or if it was in the comment section. Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you. That's fine. It's Asia.
Asia.
And that's okay. Thank you. So I'm planning my first trip for August for birthday, and I plan on going to South. And I was wondering, my family on my father's side is from Santiago. So I'm wondering how easy or how difficult might it be to get from South to Santiago? I'll be going for 10 days.
South to Santiago is probably the easiest one.
Yeah.
Okay, would that be plane or ferry?
Plane,
Plane, okay.
It's plane and it's gonna be maybe an hour, probably like 45 minutes in the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually I think the most in terms of the travel is from Playa to Sal or Playa to San Vicente. Those are the most traveled, but pretty easy. And then there's flights all the time. It's not like Mayu you can go by ferry. It takes 2 hours from Playa, or the flight, but the flight is once a week. So if you want to stay for a week, it works. But yeah, the ferry is only 2 hours. It's not that bad. The only island, Brava, you cannot get there by plane. You have to go by ferry. Some people don't like the ferry. They get motion sickness, but it's the only way. They tried to have a airport in Brava. There's actually a abandoned airport there.
Yeah, right.
The land wasn't long enough to make a runway, and the wind tunnel that is created was too dangerous. So they nixed the airport. But it's a beautiful island. I haven't been there, but there's some amazing videos on YouTube and on Facebook about Brava. And the one thing about Brava, it's the smallest one, and a lot of people tend to forget it. It's amazing if you're into like hiking. It has the most, like, in terms of indigenous plants and things like that. The people there are so kind, and it just, you know, I think it's the one, like, people, they have a hashtag, it's like Bravas para Cabo Verde too, because people tend to forget it's the smallest of the islands. So, but I'm ready to go there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, could I ask one more question?
Sure.
So as far as getting dual citizenship, my great grandparents were born there, but their children, my grandparents, were born in America. Is it possible to get dual citizenship with the appropriate paperwork, or is it only for grandparents?
Yeah, you just have to be within 3 generations from Cape Verdean citizen.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All
And
right.
if you go to the National Archives to get their baptismal papers in Playa, and that will help you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Sharon, let's give it last question before closing
Okay.
out.
All right, I was just wondering, so I want to travel, once I get there, I want to travel to Fogo and Brava. So should I wait until I get there to make like the arrangements, or should I make them beforehand?
When are you going? In August?
In August.
In August. I think it's now you have to wait till you get there. It's, I don't know if you can try to get it from here, but just recently I was told that it's best to get it when you get to, in August, you shouldn't have any problems getting to Fogo or Brava. February, March, April is trickier because they have the Banderana and all that stuff. So a lot of people go, but you should
So,
be.
I'm actually going to well, I'm trying to go to both Fogo and Brava. Last year we had an issue because the ferry was 2 of the ferries were down from Fogo to Brava. So from Fogo to Brava with that ferry, it can be tricky.
Yeah.
So I'm going through Jolie. So I already have my tickets to Fogo, but it is kind of tricky to get there from Brava. So I mean, to get there from Fogo to Brava. So that might be something where maybe like towards the end of your trip, if you're not going through her, so she can book it. But so, if you have enough time there while you're there, like Jaffa said, to book it, because I think that ferry is like, it's inconsistent, the scheduling. And I think they come out with the scheduling like I think it's the way she said, I think it's no more than a week or 2 ahead.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, they have been working on it, and just recently they got a new boat as well. So I mean, it's an instant process. I feel like they worked on the ferries that went inter-island in terms of the San Vicente, Boa Vista, and all them, because that's where the high tourist areas are. And again, I mean, Brava, constantly gets that last, piece, but they have been working on it. There's a lot of expats trying to like make it more accessible, because it does bring a lot for Brava to have people go. And then also have the inter-island, because then people from Brava can do business in Fogo and then go back. So it's been a work in progress. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna, it's a little over 8:30. I want to respect you guys' time, but
I got a pack.
I really do appreciate everyone joining me. Just a quick shout out for everyone that kind of shared their experience: Lee, Delcy, Lauren, John, Nikki, Brett, and Jolie, even though she couldn't be here, but she does a lot in terms of getting people over there. I really, really do appreciate you guys joining me. This has been recorded, so it will be on Kriolu Basics and Mili Mila. I'm going to be posting in terms of the classes because we're going into intermediate. I'm ready. So I will stop recording now just so it doesn't go longer, but